president has consistently stayed loyal to the vice president, and the faithful man will abound in blessing.
We have the minister back online now, Alhaji Lai Mohammed, Minister of Information. We were not allowed to move as close. One of the impediment that we got is security issues. We're not allowed to move our cameras, live equipment, to move close to how much we can get in terms of when the president got down. You wanted to clarify the guard of honor that you spoke about earlier.
The right terminology. He took the salute.
No, I missed that. If you can just repeat what you just said, Alhaji Lai Mohammed.
Yes, I said the right terminology is that the president took the salute.
Okay.
He took the salute. Yeah.
He did not inspect the guard of honor. But Alhaji Lai Mohammed, you're the Minister of Information. A national broadcaster like Channels Television was not allowed with its live equipment to tell millions of viewers across the world what exactly is happening. Only the public broadcaster that you control is allowed to get those close picture.
No, I don't think it's fair to say that it is the broadcasters that I control that are allowed to get there. No. As a matter of fact, many ministers had to stay inside because there were too many people. So it was a very, very small ceremony. And I'm sure other broadcasters actually captured it. I don't think it's fair to say that we gave, priority to only the national broadcaster. That's not correct.
That's the situation on the ground, Alhaji Lai Mohammed. NTA is the only national, it is the only broadcaster, the public broadcaster in Nigeria. That's the only one that was allowed to move its live equipment close to the tarmac, and that's the situation I'm telling you, Alhaji Lai Mohammed.
Well, if that is true, I will check that. But I don't think that any deliberate attempt to disallow any other broadcaster from taking it.
Even when the president when media team were allowed, it was only the NTA reporter that was allowed to go to the president in London. That's another issue, Alhaji Lai Mohammed. You are aware of this.
That's not correct. That's not correct. That is not correct. Sure.
So what is the fact, Alhaji Lai Mohammed?
The fact is that the presidential media team went with only, the NTA because there's a team that was attached to Mr. President that accompanied Mr. President always.
That's exactly what I've said now. That's exactly what I've said.
No. You see what happened when the media team went to meet Mr. President was that we went only with our own broadcaster.
Okay. Thank you so much, Alhaji Lai Mohammed. We must leave it at that. We need to take a breather. And when we come back, we dig more into this and we get our concluding thoughts on the arrival of President Muhammadu Buhari after 105 days in medical vacation in London. Stay with us, everyone. We'll be right back.
Download the TV Now app for Android.
Thank you, everyone, for staying with us. We're coasting home right now on this special coverage of the return of President Muhammadu Buhari back in the country after 105 days on medical vacation in London. My guests here in the studio, Mr. G.T. Ogunye, Mr. Wahab Shitu, and Mr. Daniel Buala have been weighing in on this matter, and we're giving you live updates as it happens. We've spoken with several top government officials on the program to get their thoughts on what exactly has happened. We've been talking about the relationship between the president and his vice, Yemi Osinbajo. We've had Atiku and Obasanjo. We've had Jonathan and Yar'Adua. And now we've had Jonathan and Namadi Sambo. Now Buhari and Osinbajo. We've spoken about that synergy. Does it work, Mr. Shitu?
Well, I think the major experience, one major lesson we take away from all of this is the unprecedented loyalty shown by the acting president between to the president. the synergy, the chemistry. And I think it's something to celebrate going forward. And I think I made reference to that when we started this discussion, that we should not underplay that kind of synergy, because it shows that it is possible for two people to work together, and build a seamless relationship without rocking the boat. And I think for that, we need to commend both of them, who have shown exemplary statesmanship in the management of our affairs.
All right. I'll get your closing thoughts one after the other. Let me start with Mr. G.T. Ogunye. A lot of people are already talking about 2019, whether or not the president will run. But the first and perhaps more important fact is the fact that the president is back, and how he can galvanize his team and work together in achieving what they've promised Nigerians. But between now and 2019, what do you think is going to be more important for the president to be doing in consideration of the promises they made at the polls?
Governance. Smart, effective, efficient governance. You can recall that even before the president had this health challenge, there was a lot of liturgy to the discomfiture of his admirers. How long it took to constitute the cabinet and so on and so forth. Now that the president has had this kind of introspection and has moved away from the scene of the action, enabling him, presumably, to have, reviewed all that he's done in the past, I think that the president should be poised and should be ready to give Nigerian real governance in the next 2 years. We are not in 2019 yet. And so politicians can have a gaze at 2019. They can think about how they are going to succeed this president, or whether this president is going to run again. But I'm concerned about what Nigerians are going through now. And I hope that the president will be able to do that. But lastly, for me, is the important issue that has been generated. A lot of people, and my learned friend Buhari here has talked about a lacuna. It is not my expectation that we should have our president or governors go overseas for treatment. We can't just then, now that we've realized that, so let's go and create a provision for that in the Constitution. Okay. Healthcare delivery system needs to be fixed in this country, and our president, our governors must have confidence that if they go through that healthcare delivery system, they will have the best.
Mr. Shitu, just quickly.
Is to say that any talk about 2019 now is a major distraction. The focus should be on how to fix the economy and then fight corruption to a standstill. If outside, the issue of security, for me, the president should focus on fixing the economy and fighting corruption to a standstill.
Okay. Mr. Buwala, your final thoughts.
Right. Well, 2019, because the people to vote in 2019 are Nigerians, and they need to be convinced that governance is delivered to them. And as it stands now, the first 2 years has been struggling. So the remaining 2 years, I'm sure that the presidency will concentrate on delivering dividends of democracy to the people. And if the president is not running, the only bait for 2019 is for the vice president to run with the wife of the president.
Mr. G.T. Ogunye, many thanks. Mr. Wahab Shitu and Mr. Daniel Buwala, it's such a pleasure talking to you, gentlemen, and always a pleasure having you.
Very happy.
Regular analyst on China's television. On behalf of the station, many thanks for coming, gentlemen. On just a short notice. And that's our special coverage of the arrival of the President Muhammadu Buhari back in the country after 105 days. We'll keep track of his activities as he has arrived. The first day of his arrival today, and the China. As we dig more into this issue, many thanks on behalf of the team. Many thanks for being part of this show. I'm Sean Wakimbale. Bye for now, everyone.